dudes and dudettes. How are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Cinema Chazzy, the segment on this channel where I review the many movies that I watch, from all eras of cinematic history. And today is going to be kind of like, let's call it a temporary end of a trilogy here, because I'm going to be reviewing the third and final Star Wars movie from the original trilogy, which is, of course, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Just in case you missed it, I don't even think I should leave a link here anywhere. Okay, I'll leave a link here to Empire, the last one that I reviewed, but at the end, the outro screen at the end of the video, I'm going to leave a link to both other reviews, which was episode 4 and 5. I'm going to be wrapping up the trilogy here with a nice little bow, and I look good today. Got a haircut, shaved a little bit. Hopefully the lighting isn't too weird because whenever I cut my hair, it just looks strange, Wearing the same shirt, by the way. This is my episode 4 shirt, so I'm the same shirt that I've been wearing for all 3 reviews, and now, here's the thing. This movie here, for some reason back in the day, the Star Wars movies were all released every 3 years from each other. So this one actually came out in 1983. And although it is the weakest one of the original trilogy, it does still have quite a few good moments that live up today in Star Wars history, Many amazing moments that went down in like the lore as being canon and stuff, We are introduced to more fleshed out character development by Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious, who is the primary antagonist here, Like we've always been led to believe that Darth Vader and the Empire themselves were the evil ones, but they've actually always been manipulated by the Emperor, so really crazy. Just such an amazing movie in general, Despite not being as popular as the predecessors, it did actually have a budget of upwards of $42.7 million. However, it went on to gross, when adjusted for inflation and all the other stuff, with the time merchandise, it went on to gross 475 million. Well, sorry, 475. Let me do that again. It went on to gross $475 million. It's because specifically it's 475.1, but it's so stupid to insert that dumb little 0.1, so I'm rounding it off, and I don't care about that extra 100,000, okay? Although it might be a big deal in the cinematic circle, I don't care. Anyway, contrary to popular belief, George Lucas did not direct this movie. It was actually, directed by Richard Marquand, but of course, obviously, Lucas was heavily involved in the production, because he is the guy who created the damn universe, and they did use a lot of his storyboards, in pre-production, so they took a lot of his own ideas. And fun fact, originally one of the directors that was considered to head this project was Steven Spielberg, David Lynch was also considered, but because of some feud with the Directors Guild, Spielberg couldn't join the project, but it would have been awesome to see Spielberg direct a freaking Star Wars movie, And so because Marquand was actually very unfamiliar with special effects at the time, Lucas was there, like pretty much daily working even one of the cameras, so he was very, very heavily involved. You could say he was kind of like the Emperor, he was kind of like Palpatine, pulling the strings so the movie could come out the way that he wanted it to, so really cool. Now, in the early drafts, the script, the movie was actually called Revenge of the Jedi, but it was changed later, because Lucas felt that a true Jedi would never seek revenge, so he called it Return of the Jedi, which we think is actually about Luke Skywalker or maybe even Yoda. However, it's about Darth Vader becoming Anakin Skywalker again, and that's why it's called Return of the Jedi, because he comes back from the light side of the Force, It's all there. It makes a lot of sense, and now, the filming took place primarily in England, California, and Arizona, and the Arizona setting is the most obvious one because we start the movie off on Tatooine, the desert planet, and it really looks awesome, like Arizona is Tatooine, it's just like I can't think of Arizona without remembering Tatooine now, and of course the scenes in the forest planet of Endor were in California, it's just all over the freaking place. Very, very good special effects, as always, a very gripping story, which I will talk about now after showing you guys a clip from the movie.
Return to a galaxy far, far away.
Ready, everybody? Chewie, let's see what this piece of junk can do.
Here we go again.
Oh yeah, baby, the Jedi is returning with, fists of fury and lightsabers of glory, all the things with the wah-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. But anyway, so, talking a little bit about the plot now. Now, this right here, like, if you guys remember, A New Hope was kind of a bit more fun and adventurous, whereas Empire was a little bit darker and moodier. Return of the Jedi, at least in my opinion, kind of mixes it a little bit. There are elements, of course, of drama and, like, just a tad bit of comic relief with some of the characters like Han Solo Solo, for example, you know, we see Lando Calrissian become a full-fledged, you know, ally. So now the story picks up directly after the end of Empire Strikes Back, after Luke gets his hand cut off. So he's actually going to Jabba's palace. You know, there's like this little covert mission where Chewbacca and Leia infiltrate the palace, you know, disguised as a bounty hunter and a prisoner, you know, so they can try to get Han back, which of course backfires because they're discovered. He is frozen in carbonite. They unfreeze him, you know, and he comes back, which is actually really cool. It's a very nice reveal. So then, of course, later Luke infiltrates himself. R2-D2 and C-3PO have already been sent ahead and are kind of used as, like, let's say, hostages, let's say. So then, you know, there's this whole act where Luke, you know, decides to try to use the Force and try to use the Jedi mind trick, which doesn't work on Jabba the Hutt, who is the primary antagonist for the first act, you know. He is actually immune to Jedi mind tricks, being a Hutt and all, so it gets a little crazy. But we are very quickly introduced, you know, to not only the setting of Jabba's palace on Tatooine, but also the Rancor, you know, his pet, which is freaking huge. And originally this Rancor was going to be kind of like, you know, not motion capture. There was going to be an actual man in a suit, like 1954 Godzilla style, you know, but it didn't really come out very well, so they ended up using a puppet, you know, a very high-speed puppet that actually worked really well with the setting with Force perspective and whatnot. So, but then of course Luke defeats it, you know, then everybody is taken to the bars to be thrown into the Sarlacc pit, you know, which is a very crappy way to die. But of course one thing leads to another. He gets his lightsaber and starts kicking everybody's ass, and everybody gets freed. The heroes defeat the villains. Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc pit. We assume he dies, but he actually doesn't if you know anything about Star Wars lore, but still. You know, Boba Fett is a very badass character who had very little, you know, very few minutes of screen time, especially in this movie here, but I liked him a lot. You know, he's like one of the most famous characters despite having so many. But anyway, so now here we go. Now, eventually we are shown that Luke has made pretty much his journey almost complete to being a Jedi Knight, because he's a little bit more serious and mature now. He constructed his own lightsaber, you know, which has a green blade, so he's much more experienced. He knows more about the Force, you know, but he is still trying hard to control his emotions. He goes back to Dagobah and witnesses Yoda passing away and being absorbed by the Force, you know. He talks a little bit with Ben, and now we are led to believe that the final showdown was going to be between him and Darth Vader, who we discovered was his father. But there are many other subplots as well, because now the Empire has built a second Death Star to replace the first one that was destroyed, and even though it's still in construction, it is fully operational. We just don't know it yet, or rather the heroes don't know it yet. But as the plot goes on, we start to see more details unfolding in different subplots. The Rebel Alliance attacks the Force Moon of Endor so they can actually beat the Empire and try to destroy the satellite dish, you know. I don't really think it's a satellite dish because we're talking about Star Wars, but whatever the hell kind of dish it is, you know, to destroy the energy shield around the Death Star so they can attack it and go on the very epic trench run that we have come to know and love in Star Wars, you know. We are introduced to the adorable Ewoks, you know, and the Rebels make friends with them and they become allies, and then they have to attack the Empire, and so it's actually really cool the way it plays out, you know. I really like it. The Ewoks were very, very cute, and just so much time merchandise, you know, with them. So anyway, of course the movie goes on and progresses, you know. We are shown Luke going to the Death Star and fighting Darth Vader and overcoming him and beating him. Then the Emperor actually decides to try to manipulate him to the dark side instead of, you know, keeping Darth Vader there. But of course he rejects it. He gets electrocuted, and Darth Vader goes, "Hey, that's my kid you're electrocuting there, buddy." And he picks up the Emperor, you know, and throws him down the elevator shaft, and he dies in an explosion of lightning, because I don't really know how that works. But Darth Vader got electrocuted, so, you know, it's, you know, took a toll on him after getting his hand cut off by Luke. And then Luke takes off his mask and he says, "Oh my God, I can see you for the first time with my own eyes now," you know. But he's all gray and deformed because of, you know, the injuries he suffered many years ago. So it's freaking crazy. And then of course they escape, and then Luke burns his body on Endor so he can be absorbed by the Force, and we see an actor who will later be replaced by Hayden Christensen, you know. We see the spirits of Anakin and Ben and Yoda, and they fade away prettily into the night. And that was Return of the Jedi. Basically, pretty much a happy ending. Should have gone with the original draft, man, of actually killing off a character, you know, like maybe Han or something. But George wanted to have you know, better merch for the movie, and he didn't want to kill anybody off. He wanted it to be like a happy ending kind of thing. So yeah, just turned Luke into a freaking hermit. But anyway, before we continue and get more into the production behind the film, let's take a look at another clip here right now.
You will bring Captain Solo and the Wookiee to me.
Return to heroic adventure.
Now, the original draft of the script for the movie was drastically different than what we actually got, in the end, because George Lucas, he didn't direct it, but he was very heavily involved, so he made many changes that he saw fit, Like, for example, there is a reason why Han Solo was frozen in carbonite at the end of Empire Strikes Back. It's because they didn't know if Harrison Ford would return to play Han Solo, because he did sign a 2-movie contract deal, so he didn't have to come back, so that's why his character was frozen, because maybe he wouldn't even make an appearance. But George Lucas decided to pull a few strings and bring him back, But Harrison did initially suggest that maybe his character dies, like in a self-sacrifice scene. And one of the screenwriters, Lawrence Kasdan, how do you say this guy's name? Lawrence Kasdan, he even agreed to it, but Lucas was like, nah, man, no, I'm not gonna kill off the greatest smuggler in the galaxy. What the hell, So that's why we get the scene where Han is unfrozen and it becomes a central plot point, Because they actually thought more about, Lucas was thinking more about future merchandise sales, so originally Luke was going to just like walk off into the sunset like in a spaghetti western where the hero just walks away, but he wanted a much more happier ending, so I mean he was thinking about merchandise sales, which I can't blame the guy, he wanted more kids to kind of read into it, and he even wrote in a scene, Yoda was originally not going to be in the movie at all, but they kind of thought that it was more important to, kind of flesh out and resolve the scene, in Dagobah to kind of, round off that act there. And of course, by having Yoda, validate Vader's claim that he was Luke's father, it would kind of create, it would ease the confusion in younger audience members like the kids, who thought, oh, Vader was just making that up. No, they actually included that scene because of that, so it was really nice to see that again. So now, because there was a few issues in the post-production with the sound quality, like when they were screen testing it in theaters, the sound came out really muffled, or some of the songs where the background music wasn't even heard at all, so they had to kind of work through that. So George Lucas went on to create THX, which was responsible for more of the sound effects, while also working with Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM, his own production company. So they kind of worked seamlessly, but there was so much more because this movie's special effects really pushed ILM to the operational limits, and there were around 900 special effects in total in Return of the Jedi, which is freaking bonkers, That's even more than the previous two, if I'm not mistaken. So it was really nice, and the production wasn't as painful as the other ones, because A New Hope was hell for George Lucas, Empire was a little better, but I can kind of understand him stepping back a little bit because it really took a toll on his, personal health, his physical health as well, and emotional. So, but it was a very, very nice one. And also the music, of course, the classic Star Wars themes, which was composed entirely by John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra. So all of the classic Star Wars themes that you hear throughout the movies, they were all made by him. John Williams is awesome. I do believe he's received quite a few awards as well, What's the thing for musical scores? Is it the Grammys? I don't know if it's Grammy, but whatever the award is for musical scores or music, whatever, John Williams won pretty much all of them for all the movies, and he has made the score for each and every single Star Wars movie, all 9 of them as far as I know. So yeah, man, it's really truly a match made in heaven. I'm pretty sure Disney brought him back, when they started doing movies again. So yeah, so essentially this movie here was really nice. It really had a lot of an amazing blend of special and practical effects in the on-setting scenes. What am I saying? The set pieces, how they actually, because Star Wars, they do have a lot of actual real set pieces that they built from scratch, to make it look awesome. Everything was nice, switching back and forth between the desert planet of Tatooine and the forest of Endor, then the technological bluish, like almost kind of, desaturated tint of the second Death Star was really awesome. Very amazing final act where Luke is tempted to go to the dark side, but he resists, and he ultimately confronts his own father, and everything is just really cool. We have a classic villain death, which would later be skewered by Disney, it's going to be retcon, but I'm not going to talk about that now. But anyway, before I move on to the final stretch, let us take a look at one final clip here from the movie. Well, not the final one, just the final one here before I do the transition.
You don't know the power of the dark side. Return to the ultimate confrontation.
Freeze! Don't move!
Oh dear.
I love you.
I know.
unsurprisingly, George Lucas heavily tweaked this movie as well as the others, for the countless, special edition releases, of the movies. And I don't blame him, he did, want to kind of like create new effects based on the growing technology, so some small details like the Ewoks actually blinking or Vader screaming out no when he grabs the Emperor, throws him down the elevator shaft, but I mean, like personally, I don't really mind all the changes. There is one, however, that is interesting. In the original version of Return of the Jedi, we actually see the actor Sebastian Shaw, who portrays Vader's, physical embodiment, actually showing up as a Force ghost, which is okay. But in the 2004 digital restoration, Hayden Christensen was actually added, who played the younger Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy. So I actually thought it was nice, but both versions do make sense, because with the Sebastian Shaw version, it's the version of Vader that Luke saw and got absorbed there when he, came back to the light side. But I do also appreciate the Hayden version because, I mean, that is, who Anakin was before he became Darth Vader. So I'm okay with both versions, because I'm a much from a much younger generation, and I saw the prequels before. Like, well, I don't know. Like, the prequels speak more to me in a way because that's kind of like my generation. But still, I liked it. I actually do think that the 2004 box set is the one that I have with the versions of since then. But since then, there have been many more digital restorations. There have been some deleted scenes that have been added to bonus content. There is one deleted scene that I thought was really cool that could have been included, which was when Vader actually communicates with Luke via the Force while he's assembling his new lightsaber, before infiltrating Jabba's palace. So I think that would have been really nice to see, because Luke actually puts together the lightsaber himself, so I mean, come on, that would have been a very nice scene to get through. But anyway, now this, like I said before, is considered to be the weakest of the three movies in the original trilogy, because it is the third movie produced and released, but the sixth chronological. But it might just be my least favorite one in this one here. In the entire original saga, I'm not sure if it's my least favorite. Maybe it's tied with the Phantom Menace, but because I cannot see this movie in a more superior light than the other ones, and I am also taking into consideration that it was released in the early 80s, so the special effects, although having come a long way since the first one, were still very hard to look at and cringy, I have a bone to pick with, practical effects from back in the day and special effects, although I do appreciate the groundbreaking work that George Lucas did, this is still far from one of my favorite movies, so I'm gonna have to give Return of the Jedi a resounding 7 out of 10. So it's just, it was nice, entertaining, seeing all the characters that we know and love, Luke and Han and Leia, Chewbacca, 3PO, R2, Lando now. We've seen a little bit of Boba Fett and Jabba, Vader, the Emperor. It was really nice, a very good ensemble cast. Ian freaking McDermott played Palpatine in every single Star Wars movie ever. The guy was like born old or something, man. I don't freaking know. But I really liked the cast. Everything was nice. The music, it is a Star Wars movie, but unfortunately, something about Endor kind of bogs it down for me when we see the Ewoks being cute and stuff. It just becomes a little bit too family friendly. And George Lucas did not want to take any risks and kill off some major characters because of the risk of merchandising sales. So whatever. 7 out of 10 is my final rating, and that wraps up my review of the original Star Wars trilogy. I will, of course, be getting into the prequels very soon, but there are still a few other things along the way. I'm still playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I will review something else Star Wars related, in the meantime, another form of entertainment. So I really hope you guys like these videos. They are a lot of work to make, because I got to get the clips from YouTube and insert them here in a way that there won't be any copyright issues. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you did in the comments below. Tell me if you probably got a lot of spoilers if you've never watched Star Wars, but let me know what you think about it, what your rating would be, what your little personal take on this would be. Tell me what you think about these movies, and let's have a little debate down there, because the force is strong with this playlist right now. Anyway, guys, so that's it. If you happen to enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel, because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, do hit the notification bell too, so you can know exactly what time I upload, and it's all good. Oh, Return of the Jedi, the movie that defined a generation and made so many fanboys hunger for Leia in her slave outfit and the little golden bikini there. That thing was uncomfortable as hell, but still, man, that is such an iconic image of freaking Carrie Fisher in a bikini. Still love it so much. Probably sounding a little bit horny right now, but I'm sorry about that. It's not appropriate to be talking about this. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. We love you so much. Our forever Princess Leia. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. May the Force be with you, and roll the outro screen. Do I say that, or do I say that just in Battlefront 2? I don't know, but roll that damn outro screen.
Return for the climactic chapter of the Star Wars saga.
Fighting is hardly the word I would choose.
But most of all, return for the fun of it. Return of the Jedi.